So we are recording, we still have a couple minutes and we're expecting a few other people to just pull time for. Oh, no. What are you on? So odd. All right, so today is September 5th, 2024. It is almost noon. A couple quick housekeeping things for this executive committee meeting. It is being recorded, so it is a matter of record. Be mindful of coming across your video and your microphone, and if the recording will be posted to the YouTube channel. And we don't want you going viral from picking your nose or throwing up your gang signs. You know, sure you'll do that. With that, stay muted when you are not participating. If you want to ask a question, by all means, unmute yourself. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat, but be sure that when you're not actively engaging, that you are muted to cut down on background noise and interference. So with that, it is 11:59 and who is here. Whenever you are ready, you can call the meeting to order.
All right, good. I guess, well, almost noon, everybody. So glad to see everybody participating. We will ask that the meeting be called to order and that the roll call be given. Thank you. Debbie, you're up.
Okay, Gerald Billieu,
I'm here.
Kevin Busher,
Present.
Mike Conrad. Don't think so. Kayla Lambert,
Present.
Nancy Purdy, and Jason Warfel.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum.
All right, thanks, Debbie. So looking at number 2 on the item list, conflict of interest disclosure. We would ask that anyone that would have a conflict of interest in the budget that we're looking to approve today to please speak up.
Yes, I have a conflict. Being on the executive committee and then presenting our budget is a conflict for me, so I'll be abstaining from the vote.
Understood, Kevin. Understood. No problem. Okay. Anyone else?
I had also noted in the chat that I would like to abstain today. I needed further guidance on my abilities to vote on this action item, and I could not get that by the time of this meeting, unfortunately.
Okay, Kayla. All right. Thank you. Anybody else? So we're whittling them down pretty fast. All right. So, okay. If no one else, let's move on to the agenda item that we have to just deal with today and hopefully get everybody to their lunch real quick. Okay. So we are looking to approve the CEF's LWIA 23 fiscal year 24 proposed budget. Kevin and I guess maybe Tina, who I haven't met yet, but hope to. Can you go ahead? We have received the hard copies of the budget. We have it in front of us. It is
On the screen.
a whole lot different than what I'm used to seeing, but that's okay. That's not a problem. All right. So if you guys would want to give us some explanation, we would appreciate it very much.
Sure. Would you like it to be shared on the screen, the budget?
That would be fine.
So if you want to.
Does everybody have a copy of it?
Tina Peters, our CFO, is going to be here, but she had to leave with a family emergency a couple hours ago, so I'm going to kind of go over not that one. There we go. So this is our program year 24 budget, and yes, this budget does look different. And the reason why it looks different is because, you know, like when they presented the budget, they were presenting the the budget for the admin part, for their staff. And you have to look at it differently now because, CFS will be doing the fiscal agent and the service providing. So we wanted to show you the actual full budget so you get an idea of, the board is over the full budget for the funding. So we wanted to show you how that was all breaking down. So the first part, you can see the administrative on the WIA budgeted cost in the middle of the page. Just look at the fourth quarter. This is the state's budget form. They always run the first quarter and the fourth quarter. Look at the fourth quarter because that's the full budget. So the full allotment of money for the administrative is $269,212. So personnel is $142,245. Fringe benefits $43,794. Other administrative is $62,144. And then the other administrative is going to be, cost for the buildings, rent, computers, the software, firewalls, travel for the staff, anything that, insurance, directors and offers of insurance for the board, all those other costs. Indirect cost is the indirect cost rate that we have at CFS to pay for like Tina's salary, my salary, those things. It's kind of, Lakeland had a $50,000, is that right, Jamie? Maximum cost. Ours is based on an allocation that we have. It's 14.8% of, it's around 15% of salaries, of our salaries, and that's how we get that cost. If you want to know what the other administrative costs are in that Excel spreadsheet, there is that explains all that. If you wanted more detail, it's in there. So youth, youth in school, youth out of school. I'm not gonna go over each line, but we have an allocation method to pay our staff based on youth in school, youth out of school, adult and certificate workers. It's all based on how many customers we have at the time. Each month, we use that allocation method to split out our cost between programs and youth in school, out of school, adult, and dislocated worker. And then you can see the direct training costs for in school. Occupational skills training is $38,000. Remedial training is $3,000. Support services is $11,000. And then the same thing for in school kids. Well, I'm sorry, that was the in school. So in the out of school is, same thing. We have our personnel costs, and then we have our direct training costs. And that gives you a better idea of what we plan to spend on those direct training costs throughout the year. We have the same thing for adult and dislocated worker. If you guys want me to go over all these line items, I sure will with you to explain how those are. On the job training, for example, is when we have those contracts with businesses, we're paying up to 75% of those wages for those adults or youth or dislocated workers that are working at those businesses. Paid work experience is, we do that with adults, dislocated workers and youth. CFS is the employer of record, and we're paying those wages, the FICA and all those workers' comp, all those insurances that we need to for the paid work experience. And then we have the encumbered worker there and the dislocated worker also. So, and again, like I said before, the personnel costs are split up between our allocation method between each program in school, out of school, adult, and dislocated worker. The total budget for the program year 24 is $2,692,130. go on with that pretty quickly, and if you want me to go line by line, I can start with the youth in school and go through each one if you want me to. That's up to you guys.
I guess my question, one of my questions would be, Kevin, I mean, this is a lot more than what we've seen in the past.
Right.
When we're asking this committee to approve a budget, are we approving the 2.6? Are we approving basically the administration side of this, the 269?
You're approving the 2.6 because this is the budget that needs approved by the state, and this is the full amount that the board and the CEOs are overseeing the full $2.6 million.
Okay, yeah. I mean, because I know we've seen in previous years, we've seen this broke down as a summary because you've also provided a summary page with that, which broke it down some. And then what I do, I go back and I try to compare what we've seen before and see if I can look at the apples, compare them to the apples. Okay, is what I've done. And I mean, I realized we were looking about a $2.8 million budget before. Now we're looking about a 2.7, something like that, close to, just under. So yeah, I understand. Okay, I just wanted everyone that was voting on this today to understand what they're actually voting on. Okay, that's what I wanted.
And
All right.
also, the last page of that document is just our registrant form that we have to propose to the state of how many people will be serving. It's just part of the application, but I did wanted to share that with you, what we're planning on serving this year. Again, you look at the fourth quarter, because that's the bottom line.
Mhm.
What we have planned, what happens, can be two different things based on a lot of things that happen. For example, last year we got funding from Lakeland for the state supplemental grant. We'll be talking that a little bit. So then we got more money, and it helped us enroll some more students. So it could be that we have a massive layoff. We're going to serve a lot more dislocated workers than we planned. So this is just a plan based on the information I had at that moment when I did this form, filled out our estimations for the year. But I did want to share that to you because that's part of the grant application. I wanted to share that with you also.
Okay.
Just to be helpful, since you said comparing apples and Carol, and Debbie, feel free to jump in if I'm not explaining this right, or it's coming across wrong, but what I would have called our Lakeland operating budget for the board staff was not 100% administrative because some of my salary came from the program side. So if you're looking just at the administrative lines of this budget and comparing it to the Lakeland operating budget, that's not apples to apples. There's a little bit of a difference there because Lakeland was incorporating some of the program funds into that operating budget. So it is not quite apples to apples, but it is around about there. I think Debbie's salary was 100% from administrative. Mine would vary about 85% administrative, 12% or so from program. And I can't remember Tony's salary, about the ratio for that.
Okay.
Tony's was about 50-50 or something like that. But another thing, Jamie, you are correct that you can't just factor in just the administrative, but another thing to also factor in, this is just the 24 grant. Once Lakeland gets done reporting their costs, there will be the 23 grant, whatever is left on that. So there will be additional money there. So I'm not quite for sure how that will work into the budget. So, but typically every year you will have some carryover and then your new grant. So that is something that will sort of come together. So, and how that works out with the budget, I'm not quite for sure, but just wanted to point out that this won't be all of it because there will be some 23 money coming over to SEFs as soon as the September numbers get reported. So
And the other thing I wanted to do too, what we're gonna talk about next is the state supplemental grant, there's 203,000. That will be part of the budget also, it's not in here, because it's a separate grant. That'll be a total budget, so then you're at almost 2.9 million of that 200,000 state supplemental. Any questions on that budget before I go out to the state supplemental?
The one thing that I have noticed, we're not seeing the budget for the apprenticeship program. Is that something that is going to have gone away?
Yes, the state has basically told me CFS should not apply for the apprenticeship grant this year. That was their call. That's the decision they made. They want us to focus on the transition underway, and then, get our staff hired, get them trained. And then in, next year for next July, they want us to apply. So we're just doing what they're asking. So we did not apply for that grant.
Understood. Do you have an idea how that's going to impact some of our businesses already moving towards some of these apprenticeship programs? Have any idea, Kevin?
If I kind of cut out there, but from my, your question is there be businesses affected by us not having an apprenticeship? I think that probably be a question.
Yes.
I can answer better than I could.
There will be a definite impact to businesses. I can't put a number on it. I do know in the application that we submitted and that was approved but not awarded, there was a lot of focus on helping the intermediaries to support the businesses. So there were, I think about $80,000 that was designated to supporting the intermediaries and recruiting apprentices in addition to developing new apprenticeships. So that was estimated to be about 10 to 12 employers for each of the intermediaries. So we have 3 intermediaries in LWIA 23, Lakeland College, Pascagoula College, and Illinois Eastern Community Colleges. So there's a potential estimated impact to about 30 businesses across the region, but that is just a goal estimate. I can't really put a dollar amount on actual impact to current apprentices or current employers that are working with apprenticeships.
Go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
Any other questions?
Gerald, I know I'm not on this committee, but could I ask a question also?
Yes, you may.
All right, thank you. I noticed if you'll scroll back to page 2, I think it was you have incumbent worker training under dislocated worker, but not under adult. And I guess Jamie, the question might be for Jamie and for Kevin. Is that typically how we've done it? Is our incumbent worker dollars always been under dislocated worker and not under adult?
That's true. It's always been a dislocated worker.
actually, if I can correct, 1 year we did have a bunch of adult money. So we did do 1 year of adult, but every other year it's been dislocated worker. So
Okay, that I thought we had a year that we had some of that under adult. So I just wanted to clarify that it is all going to be under dislocated worker to avoid layoff aversion. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Gerald.
Thank you. Good question. And thanks for the answers. Appreciate it. Okay.
Any other questions from anybody?
All right,
Before we
Kevin.
go to the youth or to the supplemental grant? Okay, so the program year 24 state supplemental grant, there's $203,739. Brian Else from DCO had said that, LWIA 23 was the only area that did not apply, for this grant, so he wanted us to apply for it and get it turned in as quickly as possible, so we could have access to this $203,000. So basically two things we have put in here. One is working with Lakeland College and IECC colleges with their adult education, and English as a second language programs. Basically, we buying instructional materials, books that they can give to the participants, to help them learn English as a second language, or reading, math, whatever it may be. So that's what both Lakeland and IECC. IECC also asked for some Chromebooks for their classroom and a couple laptops. We put those in there. I'm not sure if the state will approve the purchase of the Chromebooks and laptops, but I put them in there because they were asked, and we'll see what they say. The other two projects is just expanding some of the services we have already. We haven't put them in the groups from the notice of the award. One of those groups was helping expand employment and job training for single parents, which we already do. A lot of our customers we serve in the youth and dissipated worker adult are single parents. So I highlighted that as we can expand what we do, we can serve more people doing the same thing we're doing. And the last third project emphasize workforce development and rural prosperity. All our 13 counties is rural. So again, it's serving more youth, serving more adults. So we hit it pretty hard with the youth program. We recently had to slow the brakes because we have all our money accounted for the next 10 months. So this will allow us to serve more youth or serve more adults and have flexibility on we want to pay this out of the state money or we want to pay out of the federal money. The state money is a lot more not free to use, but you don't have the requirements of the performance for the federal money. So in theory, you could serve some individuals, youth that maybe are adults that don't qualify under WIA, and you can serve them under the state money. I'm not saying we're going to do that. Because last year we enrolled all the youth into the state dollars with the federal dollars. So this is going to allow us to hopefully, I'm projecting to serve 20 single parents under the single parent project, and then another 20 emphasizing workforce development through prosperity. So that's kind of the plan with that. If you want to go to the next page, here's the budget for that. Again, 203,000. So 18,000 is for personnel, around 6 for benefits, 1,000 for travel, 500 for contractual, 102,000 for classroom training, 107 or around 18 for work-based training. 12,000 will be for the materials for Lakeland College and IECC. Supportive services for participants around 34,000. Administration of around 8,000, and the indirect cost is around 4,000 for a total budget of $203,739. And from what I understand, we'll be able to go back to July 1st to use this funding. That's how it was last year. So that, again, this will give us a lot of flexibility to serve more people and move some money around to help us with the youth in a school and out of school. Gives you a lot of flexibility to help get those numbers that are required for the federal dollars. Spending our 50% in school and how school wants to require. And then it helps with the work-based learning percentages too. So it just gives us a lot more flexibility of what we're currently doing. Any questions on that budget?
Based on that, when would those funds be available?
It's just a matter of, from what I understand, you know, the goal, from the state will to make sure this BY24 grant gets activated, hopefully October 1st. So that's why we're having a special meeting, get approved and get it to them. I'm hoping the state supplemental will be the same time, but it could be later. January last year was
Really late.
like January, right? January, so.
Okay.
So we don't know, but I'm hoping it's sooner this year. Because I think last year the grant was not due till November, but this year
It
was
was
due.
brand new and we had like 2 weeks.
Right.
And they were building plans. They were.
Right. And this year, the application was due, I think, was that due in July? In July, so, so that's kind of where we're at, with both those budgets. And you want any more detail on either one of them?
I don't know. Does anyone have any other questions? I know it's a lot of information. You've had a few days to look over the
Hey, Kevin,
budget.
Yes.
Please go.
would I be able to ask something just from dealing with all the paperwork for last year's supplemental? I'm just curious for the GED, was Kaskaskia not interested for this go round?
I reached out to him, and I talked to Tom once, and I emailed him and left the messages, and he never got back to me, so I tried.
Okay, I was just curious. I know that they had probably the least amount of reimbursements for the GD portion, but I thought, well, maybe once they sort of got their feet wet and got a process in place that it might be a little bit easier for a second go round, but I was just curious. So
I did
Thank you.
try. All right.
I do have a question on, you show 5% of net, 5% of total time for 9 career planners, 5% of salary and fringe for program director. And does that mean senior accountant? I want to make sure that that would be the same terminology. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it would be everybody else. And we might, we put that in there, and we might not need it. But if, for example, we would enroll students that are not eligible for WIA, we would have to pay for their time out of here. But if we co-enroll everybody, that personnel time is probably just gonna be used for direct training. We put that in there because it's, you don't put in personnel and fringes at the beginning, you can't modify it later. You can always modify it, put those money into direct training, so that's why.
Do you do time and efforts to allocate time to make sure that those people are spending 5% of their time working on that grant? Or the idea or the goal behind that grant?
Again, if we co-enroll them, we probably won't charge any time. Does that make sense?
I'm, the only thing I'm asking is if you're going to charge off 5%, do you use some sort of tracking method for
Yes, we do.
your
Yeah,
staff
yeah.
to show?
Yes, we do. We, in our time system, we have boxes and codes they bring up for each grant. It's necessary. So yes, we'll have a tracking system to do that.
Probably time and effort is a term that we use in education and then also Title II. And then I guess this question would be for Debbie and or Jamie. Did the college charge indirect cost on the apprenticeship grant last year?
No.
Okay, thank you.
The 10% indirect cost rate, so for the formula grant, that would ended up being less than the $50,000 max. And we did not charge indirect costs to any of the other.
And we only charge the indirect cost if we charge salary. we don't charge salaries to this grant, then we won't charge them their costs. It's only based on salaries paid.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the questions, Chris. Any other questions, concerns? So a lot to decipher, a lot to go through. I know how it is. I dealt with the county budget, and the people that dealt with the budget knew the ins and outs and everything about it. And then you try to present it to people, and they would like look deer in the headlight look so many times. I hope no one here is like a deer in the headlight, but we do have information in front of us. We have these numbers that are being committed to as for the budget. So the only item we have on our agenda is to approve this budget. So are there any other questions, Kevin? Any other comments before our budget? Anyone? Debbie, you have any comments? Anything that might help all of us out here looking at these numbers?
I don't have a whole lot. I know it is definitely a difference from what used to seeing budget wise. So, and I know the spreadsheet that got sent over, the Excel spreadsheet, that even for people, even me, I mean, it with as many tabs and stuff there is on that, it is very daunting. So, I think these are good summaries. So I just noted earlier that there will be the 23 grant, so that will come later on. So the numbers that you saw for that very first part, that is just the 24 grant. So, but yeah,
And right now we're not even looking at, all we're proving is what's in front of us, okay? 23 is a side note, 23 is a side note. And my understanding based upon your comments earlier, how that's going to implement into the 24 budget is just a little bit up in the air once those final numbers are complete, correct?
as far as I know of, so.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Well, if there are not any other questions or concerns that anyone has, I'm going to go ahead and call for a vote to approve item 3, the LWIA 23 fiscal year 24 proposed budget. So I don't know, Jason, it's me and you and who? Who is left?
Is it just you and I?
I think it's just you and I, and Debbie, because Kevin's and Kayla, and then the others aren't there.
There is a phone number 592, so I'm not for sure if that's Mike Conrad or somebody else. So there might be a third one, but I can't guarantee it. So.
Well, mine would be.
Yourself and announce who you are.
I'm a 592 number, 618-592-6531.
Last 3 digits are 592. Sorry, number ending in 592. Area
Okay.
code. Is that Nancy?
So I don't know who's out there, do we? Someone spying on us? Is it a Russian? What's the deal here? Okay. So I'll be glad to make a motion.
Nancy's number does end in 5.
Yeah, that's Nancy. Nancy, to unmute on the phone, I believe it's *6.
And I think if you're the host, can you unmute her?
I can ask her to unmute. I think it might come.
That is the last 3 digits of her cell phone number is 592.
So since Mike Conrad is not here, Chris, you are the vice chair of the Planning and Oversight Committee, right?
Correct.
So then you could serve as Mike's proxy in that capacity, because Kayla is serving as proxy in the youth committee since we don't have a chair.
So with all that being said, I I will be glad to make a motion to approve the budget as presented by CEFS for the fiscal year 24. So,
I'll second that.
okay. Jason made the second. So Debbie, I would ask that you call roll on whoever you can get a vote from.
All right. Gerald Billieu,
Yes.
Kevin Busher,
Same.
Mike Conrad, or Chris Stroll,
Yes.
Kayla Lambert, abstaining,
Abstain.
Nancy Purdy,
I wish we could hear.
okay, I'm not hearing anything. So Jason Warfel,
Yes.
okay.
All right. Well, moving on to item 4, public comment. The only comment I'm going to make to the executive I see my internet connection is coming and going. The only comment I'm going to make is on the executive committee, we were looking at this agreement between the fiscal agent and the service provider. That was one of the things, of course, then with the fiscal agent changing, that has changed the whole perimeter of this. I will be making some comments at the board meeting on the 16th relating to this. In my discussion with Brian Ellis, this is not a agreement that is mandated by DECO, but one that they would, he didn't say encourage, but it kind of, and the service provider kind of let them know how to play in the sandbox, for lack of a better term. And but now when you've got the service provider and the fiscal agent in the same sandbox, being the same company, it's going to be a little bit more convoluted. So we'll probably discuss this a little bit more at the board meeting, if that's okay with everybody, because there is no mandate by DECO to have this type of an agreement in place by October 1st. That was from Brian Ellis. If LWIA and if the board and CEOs want to have this agreement, then they can develop this agreement. So, but we'll make more comments on that. So that's why we have not pursued this. Okay. Just so you know, and if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer any, but that's kind of just my big comment. Okay. All right. I know everyone's hungry. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn? Jason, you make a motion, I'll second it.
I'll make that motion.
All right. And I'll go ahead and second the motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
I.
Hey, Jared, one thing, we need signatures on, pages, so can Kelly email those to you and you sign them and get them back to us this afternoon?
Yes, I'm in the office. That's fine.
Okay, well, I'm sending some, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. We can do that. All right. Not a problem. Okay. All right. We thank everybody for coming and attending. So enjoy your lunch, what's left of it. Okay. I appreciate your attendance. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.